Hey everybody, this is PD from the Spin Rack, and this is another video I've tried to do. I'm trying to figure what the right angle is to do John Byrne's run on Wonder Woman. It's a 36, no, the regular series that he did, the amount of issues, 36 issues from 101 to 136. And there's about two annuals and maybe five stories that other issues like Amalgam, Speed Force, Flash, Special Edition, the Adventures of the DC Universe, and there's Secret Files, stuff like that, right? So I'm gonna kind of organize this so I could go through some key issues because this is a run that's been under much scrutiny, and I think even the historians who did the book on Wonder Woman, the same one who did the Marvel, I think over 50 years book, said Byrne had kind of missed the mark on this run. Now, this was I guess an okay selling book. Didn't the initial one, I guess, is in the top 50. It's hard to tell because Marvel wasn't in Diamond or in those top things anymore. They pulled themselves out. So it was probably in the top 50 when he first did his first issue. There was a lot of buzz, and the press was initially was favorable, but the backlash to the changes of the costume was very extreme, right? There was a lot of extreme to it. And at the same time, Byrne was coming off of inking a series called Babe. So the inking in that, which was sort of a San Francisco type look, which was a lot rougher, that sort of went to the Wonder Woman book. Now, I was a big fan. I think I own one of these pages. It's gorgeous stuff. But for Wonder Woman, the Byrne fans really are into more of a slick inking, some of his slick inking, or Terry Austin, but not the Terry Austin and Byrne of this time. They're more into, I don't even know what to say for this period, because it was, for me, the 90s, there's so many different versions of Byrne, it's kind of hard to tell. In this Wonder Woman series, I'm glad I said that, is no different. You can see in the Watchmen, Fantastic Four, the ink, the line, the finishing subtly changes as it goes along. So you'll see from where we start to where we finish, it's going to be a big difference, right? So that's a good way to start this, right? So I have the costume here. You can see a clear view of the altered costume that's here. And let's just go here. This will be the first sort of images outside of the ads that you would see. And this is Gateway City, fake city that Byrne made up for it, which is like right next to San Francisco. And this would be the first image that we'd see of Wonder Woman. And this is kind of the motif of the series, but it was kind of odd, even for me. And I was just kind of like, whoa, this is it. As a fan, you're always like looking for that point where you're saying, is it for my guy? Is this where we're not going to get this? But then this picture here was really nice, right? So I kind of let things go, right? There's some of the smaller pictures, a little rougher here. Wonder Woman had a little too much She-Hulk in some of these shots, but you see she kind of loses that as this series goes on also. So less of the smirk in the characterization and more getting to sort of the regal sort of Wonder Woman, right? And this introduces Wonder Woman's supporting cast, one of her friends, which I think a lot of fans didn't sort of like, but he looks like he was going to be the love interest. And even as I was looking through this run, there's a shot of Mike where you see Wonder Woman. You see him, his character, his thinking on him even gets a lot better, right? So I just wanted to go to just because this shot here, because I really like that one, right? So with that said, this will lead into a big fight between Darkseid and the Amazons. Now, a lot of people felt since the first arc, kind of Wonder Woman goes at it with with Darkseid, and Paradise Island is all broken up. And it's like, oh, we destroyed Paradise Island. That's not how comic books work. After you destroy it, you just clean it up, right? So it's not that big a deal. And the Morgan Le Fay. Right, so let's deal with this right here. The changes to the costume. Right, so I showed you that the ink line sort of like that, and we're going to see that change as it goes along. Right, I'm 5 minutes in. Now, one of the people that was taking shots at Byrne was Alex Ross of Kingdom Come fame, right? So Alex Ross would be also doing, actually there was some sort of controversy going on during this period too, right? So here's Alex Ross doing Wonder Woman also, right? So it's kind of hard comparing Byrne to some painted artwork, but we're going to do it right here. And Alex Ross had big issue that Byrne didn't draw all the stars, right? But you see, when you look at this, now Byrne's, I think, came out before this. So when he heard that, Wonder Woman and Superman have a kid and not married, and that's not, he was kind of really bothered by that, right? So, which, I mean, no, Superman is a guy who would marry the girl first. But, that's kind of lost on people. So, you see this is kind of similar. He did alter it a little bit like Byrne's here, but not all the way. Usually, there is usually no connection between her, sort of this belt area and the bird bustier thing. Right? So you see that. So he was coming down, and that's, you feeling this more classic sort of Wonder Woman, right? But if we compare that outfit to what's going on in here, then you'll see something a little more different, right? You see the larger bracelets, not as large as Byrne, but a lot bigger than usually. Usually she just has bracelets this small. So that angle of, let's keep this. I'm going to get a good shot of it so you can see it. Here, right? So this is, as I said, it's tough comparing painting to the lines, especially with Alex Ross, but there's not a lot. You notice, I already showed you in Kingdom Come, this area was a lot smaller. So it looks like some of what Byrne had done, he had incorporated into his Wonder Woman Spirit of Truth. The bigger bracelets, this bigger, the girdle area around here. And obviously this is always what's going to be. But this area has always been the toughest for me as far as Wonder Woman. Connecting this portion, which was, those boots, that really doesn't connect with the rest of this. But connecting this part, the trunks, to the chest part here. And I think that's the thing that I really liked in Byrne's thing. You see Alex Ross kind of utilize that in when he did his big Wonder Woman story, right? So, no one's going to publicly say it, but this one happened first. Sorry, you can go look at the Wonder Woman outfits. There it is. Right? So you take shots, but then you say, you know what? I kind of like some of this. But obviously no one would say that. You just take it and move on. So this one, yep, and this, doing the same way George Perez would do, that Wonder Woman really enjoyed flying around, right? And this, I think I brought this one out for that cover, and that she gets her job. Now this is one of the things that was picked up by the movies, where she got her job as an archivist, and you see this more so in the second movie, right? And this is where she started to run into a lot of Kirby stuff, right? And as I just said, run into a lot of Kirby stuff, you run into the demon. Now this is where he ran into another roadblock, where they were like, hey, he's not rhyming. The last time we saw him, he rhymes. And basically he was being mind controlled, so he doesn't rhyme during this series. But he rhymes at the end, right? So we got, now this issue, I think I was iffy, but then when I got to here, I was like, oh, the ink is getting nice. So you see there's some signs here. There's a lot of great character stuff here. So, I don't know. Stuff that nobody looks at, right? And the last couple things I'm going to go through is just Sinestro. When I saw this issue, I was like, I don't know why they killed Sinestro, right? And this is a different story about a kid who gets stuck into a video game and decides to continue playing with Wonder Woman, right? And this is a real fun issue. And I'm just going to throw you a couple of quick shots of this big Doomsday one, right? With Byrne getting into Doomsday. Now, it was interesting because he didn't say much about it, but I guess he thought it was a cool design. So we get to see that cool shot of Doomsday. And I'm going to just leave you with this section of the book with that shot of Doomsday. Right? So you can see the ink is getting really nice, especially on this sort of close-up shot, right? So we're moving on. We're moving through this. We're trying not to do the hour-long video I did before, right? So this issue, nothing that people were saying that, hey, Byrne got rid of the supporting cast. No, they're friends. They just live in Boston. She's in San Francisco. And this was actually Vanessa's solo story. Even though Wonder Woman shows up, she's more of a supporting character in this. Similar to like Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. Where you get Vanessa going through this struggle. And she ultimately has to save the day, right? Even though Wonder Woman's here to help, So we got that. I'm going to try not to reveal too much of it. But I'm going to show, obviously, things go back towards the end. But you see that there's no issue between these guys. They're still close, right? So we got through that. Now, I'm going to get you, for me, where this series really started to pick up, right? Even though you just saw Sinestro, Doomsday. Oh no, I left something out. I left the other thing that people had issue with. Where did I leave that? Here we go. Before we go any further, Wonder Girl. The Wonder Girl is actually a little girl. People, as soon as Byrne was gone, they babyfied her the worst growing up a kid ever. You know when they say jumping a shark? The comic DC Comics and the fans jumped the shark. A big fan of Helena Sandsmar. And her daughter, Cassie, has got a couple of trinkets from the Greek gods that given her strength and power, right? And this story is about her. She sneaks out and she goes against Decay, one of the Perez villains, right? Byrne, and doing the Perez villain makes it look exactly like Perez does, right? But the fact that it was like a real kid with sort of a real sort of setup and not stacked. Just people just lost it. She's just a little girl. No, I said, oh no, we don't know how to draw little girls. They don't have any body. Get over it, right? Okay, so we got past this. Now we get on to the big stuff here, right? See this? This is shades of the artist Mort Meskin. This is a DC artist from the Silver Age, and he did a lot of stuff with Kirby. He did a lot of stuff with black and white type of things, very chiaroscuro and very harsh lighting, very noir type stuff. But for a period, he did stuff for DC Comics before he left, and here it is, right? This is sort of the DC sort of villains, which would be these funky aliens / animal monster type things. And this run that came from the past to destroy the future, these creatures would be similar to those guys, right? They're a little different, even though they have one guy that's similar to that, and the cat, and they have this here, right? It's like the Ram, and this is Mark Merlin. If you don't know who it is, go find out. I'm not going to tell you. Steve Ditko said this is one of the best storytellers ever, right? So we had this series. So I had that. I'm just going to jump in because this really has Cave Carson in it. And I think it's going to be a supporting character, but I'm not going to get into that too much. Right? This shot here, I was just like, all right, he's back. Like, he's back. Look at that shot right there, right? Look at these alien hands. So it's really sort of going into these weird sort of worlds of DC that you would see. And Cave Carson's here. Wonder Woman, Harold Champion are captured, right? And these characters were like the hieroglyphics in the Greek drawing. All right. And Mike Shore is turned down. Now, one of the cool things in the series is that Byrne was doing a lot of 3D modeling, and you could see he'd done it earlier, but at the same time, this is where it really gets seamless, right? And then Mike Shore runs into Cheetah, right? So as we keep going, oh yeah, this was a digitally drawn Wonder Woman. So that's a 3D model and using the model to actually draw Wonder Woman, right? Then you have Luis Garcia Lopez doing covers. We're jumping a little further into the story. Wonder Woman is going through struggle. This, as I said, the art was just picking up. You can already see the art picking up in this series, right? Or I'm saying the art. It's not the art, it's the inking, it's the finishing, right? And Wonder Woman is going through this ailment where she actually lost her hand. And this is the story leads in trying to save Barbara Minerva, right? The other thing is saying that he got rid of everything. Perez, no he didn't. Here's Perez to do a cover of Wonder Woman, right? And this one goes through Wonder Woman's entire history, right? Being made of clay. And then they go through the entire meeting the Amazons and the Amazon. Like everything that came before this, right? And when you start seeing these shots here, you kind of wish that Byrne went back and re-inked everything. But, you know, like this shot here, this shot of Darkseid, like it's really, I mean, I don't know. It's a lot better than the way it started, right? So moving forward, all right. Is this Mike Diodato? Yeah. This harks back to Byrne of old. That face is similar to like the Charlton sort of face. Looks like that actress from Knocked Up. And Artemis comes in, and this leads to the one bit that wasn't connecting to the Mike Diodato series. I think it was a Bill Loeb's. Right, yeah, so the demon comes back, and it's, oh my goodness. The book just gets really, and then Donna Troy shows up and finds out that she lost her ex-husband. Right, so that's one of the things that fans would be kind of upset with too. It's like, oh, you messed up Terry Long and all this. Now fans are disliking Terry Long because he's like, oh, older man, younger woman. So you can never tell where the fans are gonna go. All right, so I did it. I wanted to show you anything else? Yeah, I guess it was. We go here to show you how Wonder Woman got her trained on, learned how to use her invisible plane. And also that Donna Troy would be becoming a part of the series. And we also have, this is by Byrne, actual dialogue between Julia and Helena talking about different things, right? So we did it. We're getting through it. I just wanted to show you this cover here because this obviously would connect to regretfully the passing of Princess Diana, and they were saying that sort of thing. So they reworded it so it wouldn't be Princess Diana dies. And, regretfully, she's still something happened to her. This is one of the storylines that people really liked. Was Wonder Woman becomes a goddess, and Hippolyta becomes Wonder Woman and goes back into the past. Now, I don't have proof of it, but I think Byrne read it. No, someone said it, posted something that Byrne had said that he wanted Diana to go into the past. But DC wouldn't allow her. It wouldn't be till Darwin Cook was finally allowed, but they were pushing back on him also. They finally allowed her to break the crisis curse, and in New Frontier she was able to go into the past, or be in the past. Whereas this, we have Hippolyta as Wonder Woman. This is where the inking goes back to newsprint. It's really looking good. And Hawkman shows up. It's always called a splash page, sort of retcon showing how cool the character could be. And Jove showing up after the stuff and that. So yeah, the inking is looking really good. This is a fun storyline. This is a throwback to a Neil Adams cover on the X-Men. Even though this. And then Wonder Woman as a goddess on Mount Olympus. And then they realized what Darkseid had done. This is UX, who Darkseid was before he gained his power. And he kind of tricked people into believing in different gods. So the Greek gods split themselves into their avatars. And that's how we got Jove and Mars and all these characters, right? And they join back together and decide to rule the world, that sort of thing. But nothing comes of it. They don't do anything bad, right? So we're almost through this. What else did I want to show you in here? Oh, this shot. So here, should also keep in line with showing you how some of the stuff translates to the present day. A lot of this outfit was taken from Wonder Woman's movie outfit, right? So even though it doesn't have stars in the dress, it has a dress, right? It has this W as a belt. that sort of thing. So it's a lot of cool stuff that was added in that was ultimately used in the movie. And this is introducing Dark Angel. Dark Angel would have this connection and would be around to mess with Wonder Woman all her life, right? So this one's really gorgeous. But this is where he really got himself in some trouble, is doing a Donna Troy story, right? And saying Donna Troy had went through all of these different lives and been tortured all this time, right? So how did this happen, right? How did Donna Troy become this? So ultimately, when Diana was a kid, she was helped to get a companion that she could play with, but they would secretly do this. None of the other Amazons would know because they might not approve. But at the same time, look at that shot right there, right? So at the same time, this would be similar to the Silver Age Wonder Woman, where Wonder Woman, Wonder Baby, and Wonder Girl all appeared in the same book, and they were all Wonder Woman, right? So this is kind of playing off of that, right? But one day, when the other Diana is walking around, she gets stolen by the Dark Angel. Hippolyta feels it, and she goes to save Diana, but she's okay, right? And they don't know what happened to that. So in all that time, to pay back Hippolyta, they've been torturing Donna Troy. Now a lot of people are saying, "Oh, she was supposed, Byrne took her from the Green Lantern. They were using her," but the editors asked if they could use her, and they say, "Oh yeah, fine, that's great. We weren't going to use her anymore." And then as soon as people asked, they were like, "No, we were going to use her again," even though they had a bad breakup, a really bad breakup, and I think Kyle Rayner was dating Jade, right? But you see, the inking has gotten a million times better. And this was just like a great monthly fix, right? Look at this stuff. Oh my goodness. I'm going to go back to a shot that I really like later, right? But Donna Troy loses her life. So this would be the end, right? The end of the Byrne run, right? And I've made this, it's almost a half hour, right? The Asgardians are really upset with Diana because she sticks her nose into everything. They reveal that this is an actual dupe, like a twin sister to Wonder Woman, or a clone, but what is this? What is this? I think it's a Giganta. And Wonder Girl goes into action. While the main story, they're trying to figure out how to save Donna Troy. All right. So then they're going to use his memories to save Donna Troy. And he's like, hey, there's some gaps. Maybe, nope, there's just going to be a pattern. Right? And here, even though everyone was upset that Byrne didn't destroy Who Is Donna Troy. The creators of Who Is Donna Troy destroyed Donna Troy. They created, basically, as I said, Wonder Girl was actually Diana. And at some point, she became Donna Troy. So, Marv Wolfman and George Perez created the best origin story ever seen in a comic book. It had parts noir, great detective story, and they wiped it out of existence. They decided that the crisis, that Wonder Woman be wiped, not thinking about what it would do to Donna Troy. So basically, no one knew what her origin was. So they basically did Who is Wonder Girl, saying that the origin that we knew was different. She was saved by possibly by a fireman, but that's not true. She almost died, but she was taken by the great Titans, the characters, the gods before the Greek gods, and then became this whole thing. But then, of course, she became all these other characters like Dark Star and Troya and all this other stuff. But Byrne gives special thanks to Phil Jimenez. And that was the person who gave him the idea to put this all together. So, and then Phil Jimenez didn't tear apart Byrne when he was doing the later Who is Wonder Girl storyline. He said, "Hey, Byrne, put some things in place," but Phil was a part of it. He gave Byrne the idea, and Byrne ran with it, and then DC ran with it. But then they didn't say that Byrne had the initial idea. Well, Byrne utilized Phil's idea. So if you don't like Byrne's idea, but why would you like the idea that Phil did when Phil gave him the idea? Anyway, right here, Donna Troy is back. She's not sure what she's going to be in the future. And Wonder Woman takes back her mantle, right? And wow. Now, what a way to end. So remember how we started with that double splash page. Then we get Wonder Woman back in the classic. See how this doesn't connect? I think Byrne gave it, I guess it's a little more there, so it still works. But I like it having it a little further up the girdle part, right? So is that the end? Oh, the nail was a really great series. The last thing I'll leave you with, Byrne was planning on staying, but his editor said he was leaving. So that's when Byrne decided to hightail it out of here, but then the editor stayed. So he was like, yeah, but he had all this Marvel work, right? So after this point, the plan was for him to do breakdowns or layouts with Tom Palmer. This is how it would kind of look. Now, Tom Palmer, I think in more recent years, some of the stuff he's done with John Romita Jr. and a bunch of other artists people like, but a lot of people haven't really liked the Byrne and Tom Palmer. But this is some good looking stuff, and I think Byrne was asking Tom Palmer to be a little more faithful to the faces. So this is kind of what you'd see, what was going on. It would have been fun, but there you go. You can't judge Byrne's start from his finish. But at the same time, basically a lot of people have been nitpicking. Like some of the issues, changes, characters dying for a little while and coming back. It's all a part of comic books. So, Spinner Rack out.